Hello and welcome to my channel. If you've watched my channel before, you'll know that what I normally do is I take a tarot card and then I talk about some examples of that tarot card and some ways you could interpret it, and then I show the design I've made for my Kate Bush tarot and how I feel the song I've chosen, reflects that tarot card. Now I'm going to do things around the opposite way today. So I'm going to start with the Kate Bush song and then I'm going to talk about my tarot card choices, because I think there's two really strong candidates for this song, and I'm not sure whether I've chosen the right one, so I'll be interested to know what you think. So the song I've chosen is Babooshka, and I just wanted to quickly talk about the album it comes from, because this was Never Forever was my very first Kate Bush album that I listened to. One of my sisters, she's 12 years older than me, and she went to London to train to be a nurse, and while she was away she left her records at home, and I was probably only 6 or 7 at the time, and this was the one because it looked like a children's picture book. And I was fascinated by it, but I was also kind of scared. And without wanting to be too pretentious about it, I think it was one of the first moments I noticed a shift in my thinking from finding things that were dark and strange and scary, from pulling away from those as a child, to then becoming kind of enticed by the darkness and seeing the beauty in it. And of course, when I listened to the music itself, it felt so kind of from a different place, a different world, kind of witchy, but beautiful. And I was hooked. So that was my first introduction to Kate Bush, which felt quite an intense one. And Babooshka, then I have known this song for, well, since I was 6 or 7. Didn't understand what it was about at that age, of course, but very much kind of responding to the energy of the song, and that power, that feeling of empowerment from the chorus. I'm just going to quickly read what Kate Bush herself has said about the song, because I think it gives an interesting perspective. So I've just got my computer here. Let me just have a look. So, as often, this is from the katebushencyclopedia.com. And this is what she said in an interview in 1980. It's based on a theme that is often used in folk songs, which is where the wife of the husband begins to feel that perhaps he's not faithful. And there's no real strength in her feelings. It's just more or less paranoia, suspicions. And so she starts thinking that she's going to test him just to see if he is faithful. So what she does is she gets herself a pseudonym, which happens to be Babooshka. And she sends him a letter, and he responds very well to the letter, because as he reads it, he recognises the wife that he had a couple of years ago who was happy in the letter, and so he likes it. And she decides to take it even further and get a meeting together to see how he reacts to this Babooshka instead of her. When he meets her again, because she's so similar to his wife, the one that he loves, he's very attracted to her. Of course, she is very annoyed, and the break in the song is just throwing the restaurant at him. The whole idea of the song is really the futility and stupidness of humans, and how by our own thinking, spinning around in our own ideas, we come up with completely paranoid facts. So in her situation, she was in fact suspicious of a man who was doing nothing wrong. He loved her very much indeed. Through her own suspicions and evil thoughts, she's really ruining the relationship. Okay. And this card shows two images, again from the John Carter Bush book. This isn't actually from the video, it must have been some of the promo photos, I think. But she is the wife here, and she's writing the letter as Babooshka. And I like the way she's veiling her face with her hand. She looks very mysterious. And this, of course, is the iconic image from the video when she's dressed up as Babooshka. Now, one possible card let me just zoom in a bit. I think one possible card was this one, which would have been the Seven of Swords. And that's got that element of deception and paranoia and betrayal and doing something you shouldn't be doing. But I felt that Kate Bush looks so regal in the video that it had to be one of the queens. So I'm just going to rearrange my desk a little bit and then come back, and we will have a look at the queens in the tarot card and see which one applies to this card. Right, so here we have the four queens from the Rider-Waite pack. And I think what's interesting is where the queens are looking. So we have the Queen of Wands, and she is sort of giving us a sideways glance, but she's looking at us. There's something very open about her body language. The Queen of Cups is looking at the cup, and she could be in completely her own world. The water is about to come up to her feet, and she seems a little bit oblivious of that. Queen of Swords, she isn't even going to look at us. We're not that important to her. What she's doing is she's looking ahead, and she's planning, and maybe she's planning her next attack with that sword. Queen of Pentacles has got a beautiful garden, and she's enjoying her wealth and enjoying her position and the lovely sunny day. Now, I'm just going to show you the Osho Zen cards because I think... All right, well, I'll show you the cards and then I'll say there's a certain issue I sometimes have with how these cards are interpreted. And of course, I'm using gendered language, but you know, it's not, it could be anybody. It's not a gendered thing, the Queen. So it's just about the energy. So here we have Queen of Wands again, Queen of Cups, Queen of Swords, and Queen of Pentacles. Spot the odd one out. I mean, it's particularly extreme in this deck. But looking at this, you would think that these queens are all sweetness and lovely and wonderful energies, and this queen is to be avoided. But I would say there's a positive and a shadow to all these cards. So briefly, what I would say is Queen of Wands. So we have got a fire, element of fire, warm, generous, inviting, sharing, possibly has her favourites, and she likes to be the centre of attention, someone that will hold, you know, kind of host a big party, and she's very welcoming, but, you know, don't cross her. Don't make her jealous, because she has got a hot temper and you don't want her to turn against you. Also, she's creative, but with, I think, any creative personality, there is that destructive side as well. The Queen of Cups. So yeah, receptive, good listener, very sensitive, imaginative, nurturing, someone you go to for support, like a counselor or someone But downside is, despite, with that emotional intelligence, she can become manipulative. There can be an element of codependency there, and maybe playing the martyr, maybe being kind of watery, as in not really having strong enough boundaries, and being kind of not standing up to themselves as well. Right. Now, Queen of Swords, believe it or not, does have some positive elements, which you would not think from this card. But she is, or they are, a truth teller. I imagine the Queen of Swords as someone like a judge, or that strict teacher at school who's very fair, and you want to impress, and has a dry sense of humour, but can be very strict and harsh too. And if you think of words, this is very much like writing and communication. This is an air suit. Words can liberate us, but they can also be cruel. We can use truth, or truth as we see it, to diminish someone else. And I think that is also the limit of the Queen of Swords, is that we can think we're right, but we are always clouded by our ego, by our prejudice, and we can easily think we're being truth tellers, but actually we're just being judgmental or moralistic, or cruel. So that's the downside to her. The Queen of Pentacles, successful, kind of loyal, responsible, like the head of a company or a family, someone that you can depend on. They have that stability, but of course that stability can turn into being too cautious, being too rigid, and they can become too materialistic. So let's go back to Babooshka. I feel that we're not really talking about Queen of Pentacles or Queen of Cups. These are two more introverted of the two queens, and I think we have quite a lot of combative energy here, which would not suggest Queen of Cups or Queen of Pentacles to me. So possible choice first would be Queen of Swords. We've got writing, we've got an element of truth-telling in a way, but it's kind of mixed up with deception. And as Kate Bush says about this song, there's an error in her thinking. This is really about maybe a Queen of Swords charging forward, but she's got the wrong end of the stick. And of course, when we look at the image, Kate Bush is holding a sword. She is the warrior. She is going to get the truth, which is very much a Queen of Swords quest. But I think, and this is the one I've gone for, I think this is more, even though she's holding the sword, she is more of a Queen of Wands here. Because I think there's something undeniably theatrical about a Queen of Wands. They want to make a statement. They're creative. They want, they want all eyes on them. And as I said, she's dressing up as this queen of this Babooshka character for her own enjoyment. It is not just that's what I feel. I feel like she's reclaiming who she was. And that's why I've also chosen it, but how she was before the tears. So how would a Queen of Wands be after she was betrayed? How would she be after grief? When we try and shut down repress certain emotions, we can't really do it selectively, can we? So we end up suppressing everything. So we suppress the grief and the sorrow, but we suppress the joy as well. And this is how I have ended up thinking of Babooshka. She, or the wife who's pretending to be Babooshka, she is a Queen of Wands person, or she was. That was what the warmth and this, she's seductive, the warmth, the creativity, the life, the passion that attracted her husband. And something has happened. Perhaps she has been betrayed, or perhaps something else has happened, and she no longer trusts. She can no longer feel she can inhabit that Queen of Wands openness. And she's become this Queen of Swords character. But I still think this is the Queen of Wands. I feel like a Queen of Swords would have been more direct, and she would have been less theatrical about the whole business. But I am prepared to back down on this. I have another card that I think is fantastic for the Queen of Swords. Sorry, another song. So I will talk about that soon. Let me know what you think. As always, really interested to hear your views on this. And thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.